Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Saturday. Hope you're having a great weekend. It is Eric Larsen Day, so we're looking at the Savage Dragon issue number 30, cover dated August 1996. So a little bit of a childhood memory here. So I was deep into comics, you know, from a fairly early age, then really serious around 10 or 11, and somewhere around 13 or 14 kind of got out of them, and Spawn more specifically, when Greg Capullo was kind of announced as the official artist on Spawn, that McFarlane would no longer be Spawn's regular artist, right? And at that point, I really wasn't really into Greg Capullo yet. I just kind of missed it by a few issues. I stopped somewhere around 27 or 28 buying Spawn, and then by issue 32, I did a review on 32. You can go see it in the archives. The art had drastically improved already, and I thought that issue was really awesome. Looking back on it, right, and seeing it in my friends' collections and stuff, I was like, wow, okay, maybe I misjudged this guy. And then didn't really get back into Spawn, then got back into comics a little bit and saw this issue here of Spawn issue 52, which I will review at some point once I get through the Greg Capullo stuff. But this one really got me back into Spawn and comics specifically. Seeing Greg Capullo's art here, inked by McFarlane, of course, on the cover at least, just blew me away. I was like, man, even from what I'd seen in issue 32, he's really improved even since then. The artwork is amazing. And again, this is the point, I think, when I thought, well, maybe Greg Capullo is actually, you know, taking what McFarlane does and surpassed it, right? And like I said, when I get to review this book in a few months, I guess, we'll be talking more about it. But it is a crossover basically with the issue of Savage Dragon today that I'm reviewing. Just I never got this issue back in the day. So the connection is kind of, you know, loose, I would say. The crossover aspect of this, you know, both characters kind of find themselves in hell and on a trek together for no real apparent reason other than to do a crossover. And nothing that happens in these two issues really affects anything in Spawn's life or Savage Dragon's life. So really what it is it's kind of cool to see in Spawn Greg Capullo draw the Savage Dragon, because he's one of the guys who draws him right, I think, and makes him look really cool. And then to get to see Eric Larsen kind of riff on Spawn, right? That's kind of the interest of that, I guess, at least for me artistically, right? And you know, just visually, what's that going to look like? So again, Capullo does a great job of, you know, kind of incorporating most of the Eric Larsen tropes on the Savage Dragon in his artwork. Let's see how Eric Larsen works in the, you know, the Spawn tropes. Already on this cover, you can see he's inking Spawn in a kind of a rougher style. And his look definitely bears the current look of Spawn at that time, with the big gauntlet, lots of spikes. Spikes aren't kind of symmetrical. They're almost like more like teeth. Oodles of chains, of course, and the cape being just much more kind of ripped up and grungy. Pretty cool cover, I think. You know, gives you a good kind of inkling of what we're going to see in this issue. So let's crack her open, have a look inside. Eric Larsen, creator, writer, penciler, inker. Chris Eliopoulos, letterer, iHawk, which is a studio at this point. Colors, still do not know what film output is for comics. Anyone out there knows? Let me know in the comments. So cleverly, you know, I'll just read this real quick. I know it's a lot of text, but there's a reason it's there. It's kind of the, you know, catching you up blurb and telling you where you are in the story. So, you know, if you haven't seen my previous reviews and you're not following, you know, this might help you out a little bit. I'll try to get through it really quickly, but it's just, I find it's a very clever way of cluing everyone in on what's going on if you've forgotten, or if this is possibly your first issue. And the police captain is filling in all the police officers as to what's happening to Dragon and in the world of the Dragon. So real quick, Officer Dragon is missing. Dragon has disappeared. He was last seen in the underground. A supernatural being called the Fiend abducted him while we were in the process of kicking superpowered homeless out of the area. Because of Dragon's abduction, we had to make it a hasty retreat, as you know. We found no trace of him. It's been 2 weeks, nothing. According to a report Dragon filed prior to his abduction, we have reason to believe that the Fiend entity is controlling the form of Bonnie Harris, mother of Debbie Harris, who, as you may recall, was Dragon's former girlfriend. Debbie was shot and killed in Dragon's apartment 3 years ago, and when her ex-boyfriend Arnold Dimple came gunning for Dragon in a jealous rage, a rage that Debbie's mother provoked in an extended phone call. After killing Mrs. Harris's daughter, Dimple took his own life. Mrs. Harris blames Dragon for the death of her daughter, and together with the hate-powered fiend creature, she has attacked Dragon on several occasions, this time abducting him in broad daylight, right before our eyes, He hasn't been seen since. We've done all we can. We've spent countless hours searching for him. We have to come to grips with the very real possibility that he may be dead. And then the cops are laughing. Yeah, like anything could kill him. And this guy, of course, he's probably just laying low because he knocked up his girlfriend in relation to the what's been happening with his girlfriend Rapture, right? Who's found out she's pregnant, but she hasn't told Dragon yet, I don't think, or she told him and he doesn't believe her. Not quite sure, but just all of this is kind of lots of exposition, maybe a little bit boring to read, but then to finish it off with, you know, a joke, but that still gives us some exposition, I thought was kind of clever. Almost looks like Erik Larsen too, is this guy here. Almost like it's a self-insert, right? Visually, just a clever thing he does. Again, every time he establishes the police station, man, it must take him like 10 minutes to draw this. He knows exactly just enough of what to show you a corner of something. Him and Tom McFarlane have this gift, I think, just cutting to what's essential for you to understand what's going on. And this is just a great establishing shot that works real quick and you can get through quickly as well when you're the artist. Also, something else, I'm like, man, that's just crazy. How abstract is this where, you know, you've got the top of the caps of a cop's hat, right? Which already has a weird shape and it's kind of hard to draw. So really far off in the background, you've got the back of heads here. Just enough, drawn quite sketchily, if I can say that. But you understand these are police officers from the back, right? You see the back of their heads. And then as we move towards the foreground, you start just getting the top of the hat, the shape of the top of the hat, and just shadows. And these are just basically random kind of diamond-y shapes that Larsen's drawn. And you totally buy them as being just more and more cops moving towards the foreground. Just, I thought that was very clever because really it's just an abstract blue shape, diamond shaped, that you understand to be a cop's hat. Kudos, Larsen. Bam! Hits you with a Kirby double page splash. Looks awesome. Dragon's just not kind of believing it, right? We're gonna die. He's kind of freaking out and spawns his usual mopey self. Shut up, you idiot. We're already dead and we're in hell. So his face definitely representing that new look Spawn in around those issues, right? They touted around issue 50 or so Spawn's new face, right? So that's what we got here. So he's, you know, obviously a good observer and looking at Greg Capullo's art and, you know, conserving the tropes of Larsen while, you know, being fairly faithful to the look of Spawn at that time with the ripped up cape and the face and stuff. I've said this before, I think Larsen's very adept at drawing other people's characters, but still working them into his world and his aesthetic. So that's what he does here. The layout is great, right? For the chaotic kind of feeling of going to hell and falling and all of that. I think it works really well with these kind of jagged vertical panels here. I just find kind of the characterization of Dragon in this issue and a little bit in the Spawn crossover issue as well is just kind of a little off from his regular personality, right? So Dragon says, this isn't really hell. I mean, not really. It's all some crazy dream. I'm not dead. And besides, heaven and hell are a load of crap. There's no such thing as. So I guess he's an atheist. Oh man, you're right. This must be hell. That piped in music sounds like Michael Bolton and Yoko Ono singing a duet. Ha! So the Dragon's like cracking jokes. Oh, looky, it's George Burns. I knew he was going to get hell for those god-awful Oh God movies. Maybe I can get his autograph. Like, so just kind of acting weird, goofy, and loopy. So I don't know why Erik Larsen chose to do it that way. I guess because he's trying to get the idea across that Dragon just thinks it's a dream the whole time. So maybe that's what he was going for. But I just, like I said, it's just a little bit off-brand for the character and his regular attitude, I think, throughout the series. Just a little odd choice. Here's Rapture trying to figure out what to do with Dragon's baby. You know, he thinks she should abort before it's too late because, you know, there could be serious complications if the baby has superpowers. And you know, he does ask her, right? Besides, blood tests could prove that it's his child. That is, if it is. It's his. It's got to be. It's just got to be. I thought Dragon was sterile. No way. It's his baby. So I guess, you know, there's doubt there. It makes sense in the context of Erik Larsen furthering the story to, you know, plant some drama in that whole situation rather than just everything being, you know, hey, everything's going hunky-dory, right? Makes sense. You always got to create conflict, right? The more conflict you can create, the more stories you can bounce off of that. As you see, Larsen's a master of it. You know, that whole text I read at the beginning basically resumes a lot of different plot points from almost from issue 1 or 2 all the way to here. So that's, you know, 30 plus issues of continuity and story. Even here he references, you know, this guy here who he punches is, here it is, Antonio Seghetti. He was the overlord, basically, right? The mafia guy. Which, you know, I was kind of disappointed when you found out that that's kind of all he was in a way. It was like Erik Larsen was working in I guess parts of The Godfather, the movie that he liked, into the story, into the superpowered suit and stuff. And I was like, oh, he's just like a mafia guy. I don't know, just thought it was kind of anticlimactic, is how I'd put it. So the Fiend's not happy because she's looking through this portal of blood here from the dragon, seeing that, he's not, as she says, he's not suffering. He's supposed to be suffering. The devil promised me that he'd suffer. More nipple from Imogen Larsen here. It's always off-putting to see like a hot body with a demonic face. I like that aspect too. I think that's hilarious. And I don't know if this is, did Larsen see the Violator series? Because it's kind of established, at least that the Fleabag brothers, the Violator and his brothers, have this kind of ability to rip open corpses and see visions of other worlds. In their case, they're in hell and they're looking at this blood puddle to look through to Earth, what's happening on Earth. So maybe that's where Larsen got this kind of idea here. As they're looking in the reflection, they can see Spawn and Dragon. So she's not happy, and she wants to be sent to hell now so that she can make him pay while he's there. Here's another cool shot. Like I said, very Larsen, but working in some of that Greg Capullo kind of mood and texture. It's when I see stuff like this, I know, there's some stuff. Let me start that again. When I see stuff like this, I see the Walter Simonson influence on Erik Larsen and the way he applies textures and stuff. And then when I see this huge profile and this kind of, chiseled face, I think of Kirby a lot. And definitely with Larsen, those two guys I think are major influences. And I mean, definitely not horrible ones. Both are awesome artists. And you'll see in a further review this week on Sunday, I'll be looking at some Walt Simonson stuff. So there you go. Yeah, just adept too at, when scenes change, the moods change, the colors change, the layouts change. You know what I mean? Like these pages definitely don't fit in with the Hell story. And again, very adept at, juggling all these other plots during, the main story, I guess, in this case of our main character, Dragon in Hell. But going back and seeing what's happening and always preparing stuff for future storylines and issues. Writing-wise, Larsen's working really hard. I know I saw recently a post where people were like, oh man, I've been following Savage Dragon now since the beginning. We're almost at 300, but it's like, I'm not even reading the issues anymore because I don't find them entertaining. I mean, that's up to you what you want to do there. If you want to be a completist and keep buying, or just stop because you're not reading it. That's definitely not the case in these issues here. Most people, I think we're saying somewhere after 50 or 75 or around there is where people started kind of to jump off a little bit. And I know the title takes some major turns. So, I'm only planning on reviewing up to 50 for now, but we'll see. Maybe I'll start looking for the issues, after that, maybe the next 25 up to 75 or something. But, after, the 40s, somewhere around there, even issue 50 was a little bit hard to find. Those issues just get more and more kind of, again, hard to find. So great shot here. Funny how he conveniently just blocks out his buttocks here. And there's a similar kind of joke in the Spawn issue where, you don't see Savage Dragon's pecker, but there's like smoke kind of hiding it. Listen, I know I almost regret too, somewhere in the 2000s something, maybe 10 years ago, it's been a while already now, but it was announced that Larsen was going to be on Spawn and, kind of drawing the thing and then McFarlane inking on top of him. So looking at this stuff, like I could definitely see, Erik Larsen doing Spawn being pretty darn cool. He followed McFarlane on Spider-Man, did a really good job. So, art-wise, I don't think I'd have a problem with an Erik Larsen Spawn. Apparently it didn't work out so well in that run, but what I was going to say is I regret it because, I wasn't following Spawn at all at that point and just kind of buying random comics here and there, more European stuff, different stuff. But when I saw that, I remember thinking, maybe I should get back into it and buy those issues. And I didn't. And those issues now, again, really hard to find and really expensive. Yeah, I like how he just works in that Greg Capullo aesthetic into his own style. It's still, not as labored over, just kind of sketchier maybe than some of Greg Capullo's stuff. I mean, the personification of Spawn here, like I haven't mentioned it, but he's just always talking about, Malebolgia, and it's basically just Spawn berating Savage Dragon the whole time because he's being goofy and he thinks it's a dream and stuff, right? Ooh, this dart pinup, dear Lord, I'm gonna really seriously look into ordering and buying the dart series, because I mean, I think this art is gorgeous, and every time I see examples of his art, I'm like, why have I still not picked up Dart? So again, I'm gonna look into that, and once I have it, I will definitely be doing a review. So yeah, here we got kind of a cross between a Larsen face and Greg Capullo McFarlane face. You got some kind of, I would describe as Kirby-esque texture here and there. You know, what if Kirby drew Spawn? A little bit of that vibe, which I think is cool. Don't know if Kirby would have gotten as gruesome with the textures, but I mean, how amazing is that? It looks great. Always got the pulsating energy coming out of the eyes, right? That was a Spawn staple for McFarlane. Did a little bit here and there, and I think Capullo really pushed it, which is cool. Becomes kind of a trope of Spawns. So the Fiend shows up in hell. We'll see what happens there. Another, at this point, we're at plot B, D, B, C. This is probably plot D with Alex. So her boyfriend, who she's kind of already kind of estranged from, is telling her, you know, we've got to talk. I've been talking to you for some time. I just don't know how to say it. It's been hard. Where is it? What we had was special. Now, please don't try to get me to come back to you, right? Dale, I haven't seen you in months. You did some stupid things that really pissed me off, and I quite frankly, I thought it was all over. If you found somebody else, hallelujah. At least you'll leave me alone. I hope you're happy. It's more likely that this is some sick attempt to get me back. Now, that's not going to happen. Get out of my life. This guy's always been kind of creepy, so I think it's definitely, again, if this is included here, Larsen's working towards something, so we're going to see where this kind of pans out with this creepy boyfriend guy and Alex. Again, love how the layouts, the colors right away lead us back to hell. We have no question as to where we are. Some great moody artwork from Larsen. Sometimes, like, look at how, you know, quickly and sketchily, once again, I'll use that word, Larsen draws this here, but he's going for effect, right? Not pretty drawings. So again, storytelling. Is it okay to do kind of an ugly drawing or a quickly dashed out drawing in some instances? Absolutely, like something like this, right? This almost has kind of a manga vibe, like a dirty manga. But yeah, the Fiend, I mean, I don't know what how that's going to end, because, you know, she's been hounding Dragon for quite a few issues now. First in the form of, you know, that boyfriend, the male kind of Fiend, and now the female Fiend, Debbie's mother. I mean, there's going to have to be some sort of conclusion to that whole thing. She just keeps coming back every few issues and fucking with the dragon, basically, right? I mean, good idea, but at some point it's gonna maybe start to get old. I feel like I'm almost there. So the Fiend, while in hell, uses her powers on Sageti, and boom, gives us back his Overlord costume with a few additions, right? It's almost like armored Spawn, I would say. There's kind of a similarity in the design there, and that's how this issue ends. So next issue will be, if I'm not mistaken, the God issue, right? There's probably, yeah, next issue, God versus the Devil. You probably know about it. Was somewhat controversial, I guess, back in the day. And during next week's review, we'll be able to take a look at it and see why there was any controversy there. Talk about it more next week. So there you go, guys. That is my review of the Savage Dragon issue number 30. Everyone out there, have yourselves a great weekend and have an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13. 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby. Like! Subscribe!